You know, an election is so much more than just numbers on a screen. It's a conversation. It's a community speaking with a single voice, telling you about its hopes, its frustrations, and what it truly demands from its leaders. Today, we're going to listen to that voice. We're going to dive deep into the anatomy of a mandate in a very special place, Chizami in Nagaland.
Our story begins right here, in the hills of Nagaland, in Chizami Assembly Constituency 17. Now, this is not just any remote constituency. This is the ancestral land of the Chakesang Naga people. It's a place where the community, the land, and their traditions are woven together so tightly that you can't understand one without understanding the others. And that, of course, shapes their politics. And to really get a feel for the politics here, you have to understand the scale. We're talking about a little under 18,000 registered voters. In a place like this, politics is not some abstract debate you see on television. No, it's deeply personal. It's about your neighbors, your family. Every single vote has a face, a name, and a story.
And look at this number. Just look at it. Up to 95% voter turnout. That is, well, it's extraordinary. This isn't just about doing your civic duty. This is a community making a powerful statement. It tells you that for the people of Chizami, the stakes are incredibly high, and they are all in. They are profoundly invested in who leads them.
So, this brings us to the core question, doesn't it? In a community so engaged, where the stakes are so personal, what is it that actually determines their collective voice? What are the real issues that drive their decisions when they stand in that polling booth?
To find the answer, we have to go deeper. We need to understand the soul of this place. So, let's begin by exploring the heart of Assembly Constituency 17.
All right, let's look at the basics. We're in the Fake District. It's a constituency reserved for scheduled tribes, and the dominant community is, of course, the Chakesang Naga. But this last point is absolutely critical. The community is organized into 6 traditional clans, known as Kels. You have to understand, in an election this intimate, loyalty to your Kel can be a more powerful force than loyalty to any political party. These are the fundamental social building blocks. Okay, now that we know who the people are, let's talk about what they want. We need to open what I call the People's Ledger of Grievances. This isn't about party manifestos, this is about the real, day-to-day struggles that shape their lives and their votes. First and foremost, there's the land. For an indigenous community, land is not just property, it's their history, their identity, their future. And right now, there's a deep-seated frustration over unresolved ancestral claims and, more immediately, broken promises about compensation for land used for development. Next, you have the roads. In these hills, roads are not a luxury, they are lifelines. They connect people to markets, to hospitals, to opportunity. But when the roads are in this condition, and when a major project like the Kohima-Chizami highway stalls, it feels like those lifelines are being cut. Development itself is put on hold. And that leads directly to the issue of jobs. Outside of farming, there are very few opportunities here. So what happens? The youth, the future of the community, are forced to migrate to the cities. This leaves behind empty fields and an aging population, creating a sense of anxiety that the next generation is being lost.
And finally, healthcare. The district hospital, which should be a pillar of the community, is struggling. It needs specialist doctors. It needs better equipment. When basic, quality healthcare is hours away on bad roads, it becomes a constant source of worry for every family.
So let's put it all together. Land rights, agricultural support, roads, jobs, and healthcare. These aren't abstract policy points. They are fundamental to a life of dignity. This is the ledger. Any candidate, any party that wants to win here has to have a credible answer for every single item on this list. Our constitutional values are built on this idea that public speech, especially political speech, must be responsible and address the real-life dignity of every citizen. Okay, so we have the people and we have their grievances. Now let's turn to the data. Let's see how this ledger has actually played out in the elections over the last 2 decades. It's time to read the electoral map. Just look at those margins over the years. Less than 1% in 2008, just over 2.5% in 2013 and 2018. These elections are consistently being won and lost on a razor's edge. What this tells us is that this is a highly discerning, highly competitive electorate. No one can take them for granted. The smallest shift in mood can and does change the outcome. And if you want to see just how quickly things can change, look at this. This is the story of the Naga People's Front, the NPF. In 2018, they win the seat with over 43% of the vote. Just 5 years later, their vote share craters to less than 1%. This isn't just a loss, it's a political earthquake. And a collapse this total is a direct reflection of that ledger of grievances. It's the sound of a people saying, "We are no longer listening to you."
So, imagine you are that party, staring at near-total obliteration. What do you do? How do you even begin to rebuild? This is where we get into the anatomy of a political blueprint. How do you deconstruct a strategy to win back the trust of a constituency like Chizami?
Well, any comeback starts with a moment of brutal honesty. You have to look in the mirror. You look at your strengths, a long history, strong networks, particularly with women, but you also have to face your weaknesses. Your party workers are demoralized, you're behind on digital outreach, and you must understand the external threats, like a powerful ruling alliance. This isn't just a corporate exercise, it's a political necessity.
And out of that honest assessment comes the response. In this case, a proposed four-pillar strategy. But look closely, this isn't just a random list of promises. Each pillar is a direct answer to the people's ledger. Economic justice is for the farmers, cultural identity is for the land disputes, good governance is for the roads and hospitals, and modern outreach is for the youth who are leaving. It's a point-for-point plan to address every single grievance.
But of course, a strategy on paper is one thing. Putting it into action on the ground is everything. So let's look at the operational plan. How do you actually turn this blueprint into a real campaign?
You do it with discipline. It's a 90-day countdown. You start by rebuilding trust with listening campaigns. Then you consolidate your message. Then you intensify with one-on-one voter contact. And finally, you mobilize on election day. Now, in this modern era of outreach, it's vital to remember that respecting a voter's dignity also means respecting their privacy. Even in grassroots efforts, India's DPDP framework emphasizes the importance of consent. You earn trust by being transparent and respectful in how you communicate, not just in what you say.
After all this, the data, the grievances, the strategy, it's easy to get lost in the game of politics. But it's so important to step back and remember why all of this matters. We need to connect the campaign trail back to the real promise of governance.
And this really is the core truth. The entire campaign, all the strategy, the data crunching, the countdown, it is not the goal. It is simply the means to an end. The real test, the only test that matters, is whether the person who wins can actually deliver on that people's ledger of grievances.
Winning an election gives you a mandate to govern, but the real mandate, the mandate of trust, is earned in the days, months, and years that follow. It's earned by fixing the roads, staffing the hospitals, and creating opportunities that bring the youth home. That is how a mandate is truly earned. If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-4204-1602. Purpose beyond politics.